Hello, Mr. Dane. Today is your day, so let's start in. Okay, cool. We have a 6139 6002 March 1971. At this point, this was made at the same time that the True Pogues were being made in the US. You can see it's got resist text just like those, but it doesn't have a 17J above the SUA symbol, and it says chronograph automatic instead of just chronograph. That's original for sure. It's a little sun faded, which is to be expected. Here, let me zoom in here, that might be helpful. I'm still not really, I don't have a way to lighten these yet in any way that really works. I just haven't found anything that will, meld this layer of oxidized white back into the plastic, because you can't remove it because the printing is on the surface. This is one of these situations where the new made replacement parts, the aftermarket reproductions, come in handy. Those rotating rings being sold now, they're really good. There's not a whole lot that can flag them as being aftermarket. The one of the two things I've ever noted is that the pip is not loomed correctly. It's just a silver flat print. If I overloom that in the same loom, in the same style as Seiko, you basically, unless you put a real magnifier on it, you basically can't tell. And it looks really good. It really brings out the best in these watches. That's my thing. You sent us this crystal, which is ours, so it comes back to us. There's Sabrina's handwriting. You have there's the original bracelet, but it isn't the original bracelet. This is a much later replacement. It's a taper. These tapers didn't exist and wouldn't exist for years when this model was made. But I looked at it and I did note these end links seem to have been on it for a long time, long enough that you can see where most of the case back wear was from one of this style of link. I don't really see, we've got two wear marks that are over these, because these 6002s came on a Stellux bracelet, a solid stainless oval profile links, and the end links they have are different because the middle section is thinner. And that's the original Aussie end link. And then this is the service end link that came with this service bracelet. That's my assumption. I'm not saying that's gospel, I'm just saying that's my assumption. Yeah, it's original, obviously, but I look for things like that. See that ring of grime? It's always been there. I'm looking too between the bevel of the crystal and the tacky ring, and that's all glued together. The crown's original. All the wear is consistent. That's a nice sign. It means the crown is not only original, it's original to this watch. There's consistent wear over the case. Oh, you can actually see it better there. That's the replacement end link, and this later section now is the original Aussie one. Those bracelets are hard to find. It's crazy. I never thought they'd be, but they're hard to find. I need a couple of them. I need a couple of those complete ones with the end links. I need them badly. Okay, penny feels okay. Okay, we now know it's indicated 2. Okay, and Spanish English, which is, again, that's unusual for an Aussie. Most of the time they come with Roman English. That's what I'm used to seeing. Yeah, so it switches over about 5.5 minutes after. Snaps right to 0. Look at that. That's a good watch. That's a good watch. That's a good watch. I know the hand's been ticking over, so that we know your chronograph wheel should be good. I don't know, I'm pretty confident. You did send me some extra parts and things here if I needed any donor parts. So I've got that, which is great. I haven't really looked at it yet, but that's a good thing to have. I always use these watch wraps when I'm doing this. You can get a big roll of this stuff. It's watch protector film, and they come in little handy dandy wrap it around the head sizes. But I like doing that when I'm gonna open a case back or pop off a bezel. It just makes things a little easier. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and pop this bezel. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna open the back first. I'll do the case later. Come on. Oh, stop that. All that work and it's loose. That's, you know what? Better to be safe, yes? Because you never know. You just never know, man. You don't want to lean into something and then have yourself an issue. It's definitely an A movement. I was wondering if it was going to be the A. Because this is like the last month the True Pogues still had A's at this point. And look at that, it doesn't have the standard text for the True Pogue. Not that that means anything, it just, things are different. Hayes. Definitely a runner. Look at that, almost nowhere on the edges. In fact, I don't see anywhere in the edges of the, no, there's a little hairline of wear right on the edge there. So your winding bridge looks like it's been pretty decent. Yeah, this is a good looking watch. I'm surprised it's so sun faded and worn externally. The movement looks great. This owner, the original owner, he took care of his watch. Yes, he did. Okay, cool. Let's take it apart. loose, loose, still some grease in there. Fair amount of wear on that little baby right there. It's interesting. I want to look at that closer. And I'm going to clean all these parts. I have to do anything like this, it's super greasy. I start off with an initial cleaning bath in one dip to break down all that stuff before I expose my cleaning fluids to it. Nice and clean. Getting a little wear. Got a little wear on one of the hammer faces. Because this heart wheel isn't moving. This one's jumping a little bit. It's meant to be a little loosey-goosey. Yeah, I'll check it. Its function looked perfect to me, so I'm not going to freak out too much about it. It's tough with these A's. The B's, they cured this problem. They made this post eccentric and with a adjuster here so you can adjust where those hammers sit. In order to do that with an A, you've got to pull the hammer and ascertaining whichever wheel is loose, you have to go to the other face and take it down slightly to get that clearance correct. It's a pain in the butt, and you have to keep taking the chrono bridge on and off and on and off and on and off. Just a pain in the butt. So let's hope. Let's hope that's good. Okay, I want to dip those. You get off of there, for God's sake. Off, off, off. My goodness. Off. What the hell? That one does not want to go in. Wow, that's crazy. Go. Dash. Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Always the first place you want to check for moisture intrusion if you're inside, which is, you look at that warp spring there. Those things rust like maniacs. So it's real canary in the coal mine stuff. Look at that. Yeah, 100% original. 100% original. If you look at the original crown seal, is just flattened. That's original. That's the classic look. Seal's gonna be hard as anything. Best trick for these is to use a pair of nail clippers, and you just come in on top of the gasket. Come on now. This one is, well, the problem is I'm trying to be more careful because I'm doing this on video, which actually means I have to think about it and probably makes my abilities a little more circumspect. Or this one is not as hard as I think it is. No, it sure is. Man, what the heck is up with this seal? It's like stuck to the metal. What the heck is going on there? Did it degrade somehow? Oh, there it is. Gosh, that's unusual. Isn't that wild? I'm gonna have to clean out the inside of the crown. I'll do that in a minute. So I am here are the remains of your crown seal. Obviously, I'm probably not going to ship those back to you unless you really want them. The reason I still have the movement in the case is I believe that the case is the perfect holder for everything because it's all meant to hold it, and it's safest for the dial and hands and everything, and I can just poke over stuff and look at things until I'm ready to go. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm going to pull the movement now and flip it. Look at that, huh? There we go. Oh, would you knock it off? Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. Yeah, I think your cannon pinion feels fine. Your clearances are good. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? That's really nice. The loom is maybe a little bit tinted down, but it's not bad at all. I'll be able to clean up. Your hands show the worst of it. Under magnification, I can see it was spreading, but that'll be fine. When we get that done, we'll be perfectly fine. Okay, now I'm going to pull the dial in hands, and I'm going to do it off screen. Case back date, 1/4. So that's April 71. The case back date is March 71. Now, I have seen that. It's rare, but I've seen it. I mean, the only thing I can think is that it was right during a transition period between one model and the other, which is possible. March 71 was the last month of using the A movement, but the watch itself continued, watch model, so they were swapping stuff around. I'm not worried about it. It doesn't freak me out. At the absolute worst, it might be a service dial, but they wouldn't, if they got this thing serviced late enough to have a taper bracelet, which is like 75, these early dials would have been exhausted by that point. So I'm gonna guess it's original. I'm gonna guess that this watch is basically original to itself. Well, let me put that away. And let's bring this over here, and we're gonna start ripping that down. Okay, for the next fun part, we get to rip it down. I see, I don't know, it's hazy. And that happens when you get, you know, a little bit of moisture inside, but it's also, you know, outgassing of the old lubricants. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Come here. It's a little dirty, it's not bad. I'm looking at the faces of the stones. Sometimes if you see them that's had some real, you know, real time on them, you can see like a little channel worn across them, but you don't see that too often. Loose. Yeah, that was reasonably tight. Reasonably tight. So there's the other Achilles heel of the A movement, is the fact that the intermediary minute counter wheel here is staked to this bridge. And it sometimes, if these bind up, you'll start getting issues with that wheel going. This watch does not have a lot of miles on it. It really doesn't. Also, the owner didn't use the chronograph a whole lot, which is interesting because there's no, sometimes if the chronograph get used a lot, this bushing lip internally will get pushed up into this kind of like divot. And I don't see that. This is supposed to be able, the test is you should be able to turn this with a very fine brush, and I'm sure that I'd be able to. That's another one. I need to clean this and my hand, and I'll put that back in there. Yeah, really, look at that. Interesting, it's got the later style B spring, I think. Of course, it's got the short A hammer spring, but there's kind of no way, well, I mean, you could put the post here and convert that to a B spring. Huh. Never thought about that. Oops, there she blows. No, look at that. The chronograph was reset a few times. You can see the wear marks on it. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to hand clean that. Yeah. Looking good, actually. Nice and tight. That was tight. The previous one was tight. That was tight. And that was tight. that is the wrong screw. And look, the slot's all buggered up. I have the correct screw for that, but that's the wrong one. Yeah, look at that. Look at how clean it is. Nuts. Oops, I forgot one. Wow, that was tight as hell. Damn, they're lucky they didn't snap the shaft off of that one. These holes underneath here, these threaded shafts, they go, the depth goes beyond the length of that. And so if you crank it down hard enough, basically you'll snap it off right there. You never want to do anything more than just do basic gentle seating. Come on. Yeah, it's the different thing too about the A. Their bridges is different completely. Their operating levers and all that stuff different completely. And the movement overall is lower. It's not as high. It makes it so the A's are actually pretty cool because the movement is slightly slimmer, and the earlier A cases are also slightly slimmer, not as high. Oh, come on. I suppose I could just pull that. I mean, the whole bridge is loose, but oh well. Come on, out. Yeah, I should have. Boy, that's just not worn at all. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, now.
What you doing?
I am in the process of disassembling a nice original 6139 6002. There is a whole, somebody overrolled the hell out of this. You can see the high water line of where all that oil was between the bridge. Huh, I'll have to clean that off. There you are, it's the heart of your movement. Yeah, for the Bs, the big thing they did is they beefed up this chronograph wheel. They basically just used the heavier duty one from the 6138 and gave it a longer shaft. My wife isn't here to start snickering. Okay, we're almost to the moment of truth to see what the lower mainspring arbor looks like. Tight, that screw is tight. Center wheel bridge, or actually center wheel cock if you want to get real technical, looks fine. Fine. Yes, I know I should sharpen you. Stop making me feel guilty. Okay, yep, there it is. You got your worn lower mainspring arbor port with the old S lubrication there, all nice and dried up. So I'll have to clean that up. Let's open your barrel. Stop it. That opened up pretty easily. I'm going to have to... Ooh, don't you dare. Yeah, that looks... It's interesting. You got a big bump in your mainspring here. That doesn't look... I'm going to have to pull it apart and see. Typical. Got some wear going on here too. It's a little coned out. You can see, if you look at the shadow, you can see it. Sometimes I can straighten that. You can tune these. It's like you can tune a hairspring, you can tune a mainspring. They're supposedly no longer, they don't need to be replaced. They only need to be replaced if they're really beaten up. I try not to. If I can save it, I will. But you can see that shadow. I'll look at it. If I don't have to replace it, I won't. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but when I had the movement flipped over, I housed the main plate in the dial ring. And the reason I do that is, again, to use the parts that Seiko created, designed, and engineered specifically to protect the movement. I use it in my movement holder. Same thing here. I flipped it over again, and I'm using the movement ring spring, because again, it holds the movement just perfectly. If you try to do that without something holding it, it's tough to get these movements to sit where you want them to be. Yeah, looking good. It's not even sun faded. It's interesting. Well, no. No, I don't think so. That is interesting. Now we're going to take off the... Oh, I should test that first. Okay. That was fine. That was a little loose. That one was loose. That was nice and snug. That was nice and snug. That was decent. No, that looks good. Sometimes those are sort of tweaked, twisted over. If somebody really leaned on that quick reset lever, those look fine. forgot to take out the screw for the date and day driving wheel stack, or whatever you want to call it. Assemblage. Up. We had some stickiness in there, didn't we? Out. Yeah, a little bit of dirty goo in there. Oh my goodness! Thank goodness my wife wasn't around. Okay, let's get that out. Oh, come on now. Clean your date finger, this plastic diddly right here. That looks like it's straight and clean. And I just flicked it, come back here. These are one of the parts that actually, they do fail a lot. It's interesting. I mean, they do really well. This one's fine. But sometimes if the calendar gets all mucked up and dirty and becomes hard for the thing to turn over, it's having to push really, really, really super hard beyond its tolerances, its limits. And then it starts getting pushed backwards. And then it's not really working very well. Wrong screwdriver. Come here. Those were tight. Those are both good. Gosh, really, really clean. Not just in terms of like, cleanliness, but also like tool marks. Now this component, this multi-piece crown component, I do not take those apart. There's no need, and they're permanently put together. So you just leave it there. I mean, I could take it apart if I really wanted to, but there's literally no need. Darn it. Yeah, even that's not dirty. Wow, that's nuts. That's pretty clean. And it's a little dirty. Let's see now. Yeah, it's just surface stuff. Look at that. Come right off. Cool. Oh, last thing. Of course, our DiaShock setting. Okay, there's that. So now I'm going to machine out the lower port. You can see if you look carefully, it's a little hard to look carefully. There's your lower mainspring arbor port there. It's got some of the old dried lubricant in there, so let's just take a little round wooden toothpick. Great thing for cleaning, by the way. They're super cheap. Just find them in the supermarket, and I use them all the time. There, you can see how kicked out the one side is of that lower mainspring arbor. There's the middle, and it pushed and just ate away on this side. There you are. There is your lower mainspring arbor port issue. Now you can see it's on the opposite side. It's over here. It just got pushed out. The rest of the movement looks great. You can see there's no oil left. There might be maybe a little there, but it's all dried. Okay, so I've got to do the lower mainspring arbor port. And then I'm going to put this thing together. And then we'll check in when I'm done. I'm going to hand clean the bridge, and I'm going to install upper mainspring arbor jewel. I'll get those both going. Then once I have those in, we'll run the cleaning cycle, and I'll start putting it back together. We'll go from there. Now for the next fun bit. Let's see what kind of grot we've got. Ooh, we got some good stuff going on. Yep, totally original. There are those flattened seals. This is another situation where your one dip comes in handy. I'll get a little old jam jar, put some one dip in there, and you can use it over and over and over as a degreaser for really gross stuff like that. And that's where it goes in. And that's where it... Yeah, another flat thing. Wait, where's your spring? There that is. Okay, now let's pull this out of here. And where did my wrap go? I had it, and then it was gone.
What wrap?
Oh, one of my watch wrap diddly things. There we go. And that is again where this handy dandy clear protector comes in handy. Because the way Seiko did these, for some absolutely unknown reason, the cutouts are always not at top dead center, they're slightly over. So if you're not careful, you can put a big ass mark in the top of almost the top of the lug there. I don't know why they do it. Because you can't rock it back and forth because the leverage isn't enough to help you. It's just going to be straight in. Well, isn't that weird? Well, back we go. There we go. It's not that dirty. That's a type 1 flat. Is it? Is it? Yeah, it's not double dome, it's flat on the top. And if I was the smarter monkey, I'd have those recreated. So that's what they look like. It's this blue-black. You just got to get however many microns thick that layer is to become either transparent or to pick up that blue-black again. You just got that tiny faded layer, but you've got the printing on top of it. You can't do anything. I mean, other than the fading, this ring is perfect. Here's your spring washer. And there is your rest ring for your thingy. Look at that's pretty clean inside. I mean, it's dusty, but I have to get in there and poke those out. See what other goodness I find. Come on. That's what I tell you. I use these things, these round wooden toothpicks. I use them all the time, all the time. Yikes. I tell you, if you were trying to get some DNA from somebody who's probably no longer with us, I bet you could get some from this. Crazy thing is you could. What did I see? Archaeologists recently found an elk tooth, like elk ivory, elk tooth pendant, about 20,000 years old. It was found in an area, Siberia, where you had, regular, modern Homo sapiens interacting with Neanderthals and Denisovians. It was an area where, like, all these people were coming through. Anyway, they found this ivory, it was pendant for a necklace. And these archaeologists and these other people were able to, test for and separate out the DNA of the original owner. A girl or woman wore it, and she was related to a couple tribes that were about 1,200 miles away. What's that, like 1,600 kilometers away? So she moved, a long, long way from where she was. Wait, I got some grossness in there. I just thought it was interesting. I mean, science on this is just amazing. They found a way to test soils now because animals leave behind their protein signatures as well as their DNA. So you can test a piece of soil for many thousands of years of its past history and see what kind of animals lived there. Like there's an island on the north coast of, I think it is Greenland, and they were doing this, and they found that, according to the data, they were able to find that in this area, which was much warmer after the end of the Ice Age, and it sustained apparently a population of mammoths up to like 6,000 or 7,000 years ago or something, like much more recently than thought. Anyway, I think it's very interesting. Yikes. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Okay. Let me get that stuff cleaned up, but I think it looks pretty okay. Believe me, I've seen dirtier. Okay, so let us now, I gotta dip these things and pull those. Pull those old dumb gaskets. Yeah, they kind of, normally they snap, that kind of crunched. There you go, that one snapped. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna dip this stuff in one dip and get it all cleaned up and get her going. I'll see you on the flip side.